Hey there, it's Raven Scry here today to offer a reading about something significant, a world event that is taking place between today and the end of the month. Now, it's about a 2-week period, and I've just posed the question to Spirit, can you give us an event, something that's worth kind of noting, something that takes place in the world to be shown through this reading and the details of that. Now, the way that I've gone about doing the reading is I've already kind of touched into it. I used different elements of reading, sort of psychic abilities, but also elements of remote viewing, using and activating the different senses to kind of get more details of the scenes that were shown. And so what I'm going to do is I'll just share what came through and any of those details. And then from there, I'm going to move over to Patreon and really talk about offering that within my community over there and offering a chance to move into an intention of like reading something together and really setting that tone, and then allowing everyone to do some individual readings, and then I'll do a separate reading. And no one will see anything that has been, that has come through, that has been read. And then we'll see what everyone kind of came through with and see the synchronicities and how things measured up later on. So I'm going to offer that over, start to offer that and connect over in Patreon with the community there to really get everyone involved and activating their senses and, expanding into who they are and what they've got, the skills, the gifts, because it's not about me just doing readings, it's about everyone growing and like becoming leaders in their own right, together. This is what it's all about for me. So I'm going to touch into the reading now. I've got a few notes here, so you'll probably hear my papers rustling away. Okay. All right, so asking about significant world event between February, 16th to the 31st, 2025. Now, the scene that was shown was straight away, it was an explosion. There was this big energy and just explosion, I became aware of. And connecting into it further, it was hot weather, it was sunny. The heat was really present, and connecting into that heat, it's almost like there was this element of fire and this spark. There was a spark that was turning into deeper flames. And so with all of those little elements, it was like, okay, well, where am I? Where actually am I? And I was taken to a helicopter that was circling in the sky and, just aware of this heat, this heated environment, and going around and round, circling. Now, as I looked out, it was like there was fields, and it could be, it was quite dry, the fields, but it almost felt like it was connected in some way to sugar cane, some sort of cane fields, or, difficult to know exactly what these fields were, but these fields that were, being circled over by this helicopter. And as I, connected more to this circling helicopter, that was kind of this connectedness to these flames, this fire, and the explosion element that came through as well. Now, as I sat and further deepened in to this experience, I felt Asia, like an Asian country, not specific, but just that an energy that was coming through, and how I actually felt that. It's difficult to even describe. It's like a sense. It came through the senses, really. And so, as I connected to these choppers going around and around overhead, I noticed there was like people with helmets on in them, and now they felt to be quite possibly military connected. They had these helmets on, and they were actually standing on the outside of the helicopter, outside of the chopper, on the what they land down onto the ground with, those, I don't know what they're called, the landing long bits, the landing long bits. They were standing outside on those bits while they were circling in the sky. And I just heard this reference to bomb, overhead dropping bombs. And I just kept looking down into this cane fields, feeling like, this Asian energy. And as I connected to it more, it felt like I could see these kind of straw triangular type hats from above on people's heads. So as I connected deeper, there was a feeling in the air of, it was like something was going to happen that hadn't quite happened yet. This chopper was circling around, and I was aware of flames and I was aware of an explosion, but it was like it hadn't happened yet. It was like the stillness before something starts to happen. And as I connected to that more deeply, I started to hear guns, machine guns, and I got this visual of these machine guns that were just going off and just reeling off just all of these bullets, and I could hear the noise of it, and so as I continued, I got a line from a song in my head, Nations Dropping Bombs, and I think it's an Ani DeFranco song, a line from an Ani DeFranco song, but just clearly saying nations dropping bombs. And as I connected to that further, it was like this hand came up, stop, just a big hand, and I just got, stop, come in, and this reference to peace. It was like this story of stop, peace, and then from there was this, I know this is a bit of a download, I feel like there's lots of information here, and I'm just reeling it off to you, so I hope you're kind of with me here. And then from this peace and this stop symbol that I saw, someone was speaking very loudly. It was like someone was speaking to a large audience. Perhaps it was televised, I don't know, but it was a large speech. A male was speaking. And I just heard abrupt ending. So something, to do with stop, peace, nations dropping bombs, some sort of scenes, it's all connecting in. Now, whether these scenes are all absolutely connected into the same picture or if they're elements that are going on from afar over this time in connection to each other. But as we continue, there is this speech that's been, spoken from this male energy, and then there's these handshakes, and there's these bags of money that exchange hands, and there's these handshakes, so these deals. And as I connected to deals, it's like I heard deals with the UN, so just some sort of deals taking place. Someone's making this big announcement in regards to peace and stop, and it feels connected to, shall I say war? There's guns and fighting and Asia involved here. Large corporations. It feels like large corporations, like organisations. And what comes to mind really is like organisations to do with famine, saving children, feeding children. That's kind of what came in, and I sort of saw these darker skinned children in connection here. All right, so that's the download that came through for this event to take place in the next couple of weeks. So it'll be interesting to just kind of watch out for what comes through around that. Now, to go a little bit further, and this is really me venturing out into more of the unwrapping, doing this sort of work, and how we get more information out of a scene. I might see a scene, be in the scene, okay, and then what? We have to know how to navigate, expand, and move into new ways of opening up the information to get more information, essentially. So in doing that, to explore it more deeply, I'll move to a question like, well, what can I hear in this scene? So I might see, this scene of this helicopter, this going around, these male energies going around with their helmets on. And in this scene, I said, what can I hear here? And I heard male voices, and I could hear radio frequencies. I could hear people speaking over the radio. And then moving along to what else I could hear was the male speaking to the large crowd. I could hear his voice, and I could also hear it broadcasting. There was a sense that came in through the audio. It was like I can feel that this is being broadcast or televised, and really that's beyond hearing, but it's a sense, that came in there. Another thing I could hear was the fire crackling, and it was like there was this burning element taking place within these fields in some way. And I didn't really speak too much to that, but it was like I could get this sense of fire and the early stages of flames. Now, the other thing that I heard was the machine guns firing, and that was very distinct, very clearly coming through. And from the machine guns, it was like it took me into vision as well. It's like I was taken. What can I hear? Taken into. I could hear these bullets coming out of the gun, but I was also taken to the belt that the person was wearing that was holding this gun, and I could see the ammunition that was around their waist as well. So, really, in being able to access what was being heard, it opened up more vision as well. So it's like the ebb and the flow of using the senses to open up, to continue the flow through something. So where perhaps you get blocked somewhere and it's like, what else is there? I can't really see, I'm not getting anything else. Look somewhere else. It's like take the pressure off where you're focused, move it somewhere else to be able to open up the flow to get more coming through. And essentially that's, working with spirit in the different ways. But moving back to what I've been sharing, and so really as far as what can you hear, that's kind of the sense of what I could hear. And then I posed the question, well, what can I smell? And firstly I got smoke. I could just smell this smoke, and I felt like coughing. It was like I was inhaling smoke. And secondly, I could smell this hot, dry day and this high sun that was like taking me into a vision of just this high sun in the sky. And this hot, dry day, it was like I was inhaling the day, and almost sensing the day. And then what else I could smell was the scene of the male energy having this broadcast, speaking to all these people. I could smell aftershave, and I could also smell clean shirts, freshly ironed shirts, and it was quite a stark difference to the other smells that came through here. Now, the other sense that I moved to was, what can I taste here in this scene? Now, there wasn't a lot coming through with taste, but one thing that came through was a sweet drink. And I got a vision of the fields, and it was like I was drinking some sort of drink from some community somewhere that had made some sort of sugar drink. I know it was very sweet, it didn't have a very strong taste, because I had a taste of it. It wasn't that, I don't know, like aromatic. It didn't sort of have much body, but just a lot of sugar, a lot of sweet. So I kind of felt like maybe it was like cane sugar type of juice, but it felt very authentic to wherever I was in that field in perhaps Asia. So interesting. So as I inquired further, I went back to the male voices over the radio that I connected to, and really wanting to move deeper into it. Well, what are they speaking about? And the sense, it's interesting because as I was connecting into what I could hear, it was opening up my sense. my ability to understand and to hear the energy of what was being spoken. It wasn't that I could hear the words, I could just sense what was being spoken about. And I could hear, this element of scoping out the area, patrolling in some way, waiting for a particular moment. And it was like waiting for a particular instruction as well from someone higher up across the radio. Larger bodies upline, it was like they were, patrolling these people, these men in the helicopters. They were patrolling and watching, but waiting for higher up direction to take place. Now, I also inquired about what's the male voice speaking to the crowd saying, and the sense that I got coming through was he's giving a speech, but it's almost like it's not connecting to the crowd. It's like it's coming from a very egoic kind of place, self-fulfilling, almost pretending to be, in the name of peace, in the name of stop, this kind of larger, for the sake of the people, but it just feels like, well, I didn't believe it fully. It was like it was missing somehow. It was a bit disconnected from the crowd. Now, the other thing I moved along to was the fire crackles. It's like these fires crackling in the fields. And it's like small parts of a fire before it becomes larger sweeps through dry grass, through dry fields. It's like the early beginnings of something, the early beginnings of a flame, that initial spark that turns into wildfire. That's what the crackles really sort of spoke to me there. Now, the other thing was the machine guns firing, and I could hear the barrels shooting many rounds of bullets. And as I said earlier, the vision of the bullets on the belt, it was like it automatically positioned me into or onto the belt of this soldier or whoever he was, and just opened up the access to the vision more. So I just find this sort of work very incredible, to really look into it, reflect, and just see what comes through in the different ways. But there's a little bit more, and then I'll be closing and leave you to kind of think about it or, connect with anything that's come through. See if you've got any more insight that's come through as well. So the smell of the smoke, it was causing me to cough. And the hot day, the smell of the hot day, it was like the dry summer smell. And interestingly, out of that dry summer smell, I suddenly got an insect up my nose. This is what came through, it was like I'm trying to smell. And in the scene, I had an insect suddenly up my nose. So there was beetles or insects around in the scene. So this other addition that had been added through the senses and through using and accessing the different senses. And as I connected to the aftershave scent, there was this clean shaven neck that I was taken to, a little bit like the machine guns. It was like suddenly I was zoomed up to this neck. I could smell aftershave and I was close to his neck. And I want to say he had a white collar on, and it was a very clean, ironed shirt that he had on, and just this smell of aftershave, freshly shaven skin as well on the chin, and a little bit floppy around the chin as well. It wasn't clean cut. He had a little bit of saggy skin going on there. And I want to say too, it's almost like I get up a bit close. It's like his skin had a little bit of an abrasion on it, like a rash from him shaving. So felt like I perhaps got a little bit too close and intimate in that part. I'm like, okay, I want to back off now. So the other point with the taste was the sweet drink from the fields and the local people working in the fields that make this drink. This was the sense that I was getting as I was sipping this very sweet drink. And the sense was, they make it out of sugar cane or something similar to that. And again, it doesn't taste like a lot, but it's just very, very sweet. sweet drink. And it was interesting too, because as I connected to the sweet drink, it was like I was taken to the little cup. And the cup that it was in was like it was made of some sort of grass. It was like a unique little created grass cup someone had woven. So it just felt very, very authentic, this little drink in the field. If anyone knows what this drink is that, they're drinking and what country it's from, please comment below. And really, anything that you feel to comment or connect with here in this reading means a lot. I'd love you to share down below. So let's see how this all plays out in the next couple of weeks. Let's see if anything shows up that's going to, make all this clear. Timelines can be difficult to kind of connect into, so we'll see how we go. But until then, I'm going to head over to Patreon and just perhaps talk about some other things that we can look into working with psychically, or working with in more of a remote viewing sense. Really, whatever you want to call it, it's all ability and using ability in sort of different variants of ways to see what you can get coming through. So perhaps I'll talk over there with some things to perhaps focus into, and next time we'll all do it together, and then I'll release mine, having not listened to anyone else's, and then we'll view it to see, well, what came through and how was there synchronicities within these different bits of information that came through all the different sources. So this is kind of very exciting for me. I feel inspired to be doing this. So if you feel to, please come over and join us. And otherwise, we'll be back here with more of these type of videos and, all the other types of things that I'm bringing out. I'm just trying to get into the vibe of what feels really authentic to share. A video that I'm going to be bringing out soon too is about past lives, and I'm feeling quite passionate about that one too. So I hope you're well wherever you are in the world, and I will see you all very soon. Take care. Raven Scry signing off.